everybody. If you guys are on here live with us, say hello. It is going to take us a second here. We can actually see the comments now, which is exciting because on Facebook, when you did lives before, you couldn't see the comments. So let us know you're here. Let us know where you're coming from. I have an incredible guest here, Anthony Strayhorn, with me today to have a little conversation.
Yeah.
And there we go. Perfect. So Anthony used to be an engineer and he's now a health and fitness entrepreneur. And he has just became a really incredible friend of mine. And he has so much value to be able to share with the world. And we've had some really awesome chats. And we decided we wanted to kind of start coming on here a little bit more frequently and just going live with you guys and having some more conversation because both of us love community so much. And we decided to come on here today and chat a little bit about how to be love and light beyond the soft and sensitive way that you may know or think you know. So a little bit of a little chat around that. And first off, Anthony, I would love it if you would mind just like introducing yourself and telling everybody a little bit about you, because I know we have gone live a couple of times before, but there are people who maybe don't even know who you are. So I'd love for you to just share that a little bit.
So my name is Anthony Valentino Strayhorn, and I'm a professional trainer and life coach that helps people with having more clarity in their life, more conviction to live the life they want to live, and more courage to continue to embody those things. And also to be able to understand what are some of the best practices that we can take into our life daily, weekly, that help us achieve more sustainability and more longevity in the things that we want to experience in life. And I oftentimes just have so much fun work with different kinds of people with different varieties, different backgrounds and experiences. And it's a very transformational experience that I get to go into each and every day, working with different clients, working with different people. And really, I just help remind people of their greatness. I help remind people of the power within themselves to create and experience whatever that is that they want to. And it's an experience where I also get to experience coaching as well. I get to have a reflection back to myself where I can look at things and play with the things in life that we could play with so that we can continue to enhance what we want to experience. So
yeah. And life is all about that continuous evolution, because things are always changing, both in our inner world and our external world. So I love that. I'm so grateful for you and just for the work that you do and everything that you do for the world. And so like we said, today we wanted to kind of come on here and chat a little bit about how to be love and light beyond the soft, the sensitive way that you may know, because there is so much more to being that person that shows up and is just like super positive and inspirational, all these things. There are a lot of like darker shadow aspects or things that are super tough along this journey, right? So we just wanted to come on here and have like a real raw conversation with you guys, provide you with some value, and just have a chat. And if you guys have any questions throughout, please feel free to put them in the comments and we will see them and we will answer them. Or if you have any feedback or anything, any stories you want to share or anything, like feel free to put them in the comments. So I'm going to hand it over to you, Anthony. What are some ways that you have thought of that how to be love and light beyond this just soft, sensitive, fluffy way?
Yeah, well, I first want to talk about this whole idea behind love and light. What is that? We all have defined love in many different ways. Love can be deep, intimate connections with yourself, others in life. Love can be the way in which you hold space for somebody. Love can be your interest and unrelentless pursuit for something. So it could be defined a number of different ways. I think love is such an expansive state of being that oftentimes is associated with healing, associated with joy, associated with happiness, fulfillment. And it is those things. Love is also truth. It is also being unconditional. I think that's a layer of it. That's a definition of it. Love can also be the way in which we value certain things. We value our health, we value our bodies, we value the pursuits of life. And that love for that can translate to certain experiences in life. And there's the light part. So love and light. Light is oftentimes associated with truth, with the revealing of something that is actually um, what's real, what's under, what is the what is universally consistent across the board, the light, the truth. Like, and one of those, there's this idea that the truth of who we are is really love. The essence of all human beings is love. That's the truth of it. The opposite of that is this idea that we are not great, we are not already perfect, a miracle of the universe, complete, whole. So that would create the antithesis of love, which would be fear, judgment, shame, guilt, all those different other emotional experiences. Now, the truth in believing that we are at the essence of everything being love, that's not always easy to accept or even believe in. And so it can feel confronting, it can feel painful. There can be an experience of suffering with that. A lot of times we suffer when we bump up against something that we have so much resistance in allowing ourselves to experience, or allowing ourselves to understand from a broader perspective, that we just keep pushing this idea that it is this way, it is that way, and it can't be any other way. So this whole idea behind love and light is, how do we understand how to be in intimate connections with ourselves, others in life, and also see and experience the embodiment of that truth, of the light, because the light is already there. It's just, do we want to see it? Do we want to actually acknowledge the light? Yeah. It's not easy to do it because the truth hurts. So I wanted just to touch on that as a way to provide context for this conversation. Perfect. Like you said, a lot of times love is light is associated with this whole branding of fine linen clothing, walking on the beach with my hair flowing and sitting down in front of a crystal bowl. I'm you know, I got a meditation bowl as well. I have some non-champa incense, and I'm sending you prayers of affirmations, and that is love and light too. And there is also something to be said in the moments where, when the circumstances are not safe and favorable, what does love and light look like then? Because we sometimes feel like we can't get messy, or we can't get into the heat of confrontation, or just something that is contrasting against what we believe. And so who are we in the experience when it's something that's different?
And I think like most of the like hardest growth comes from like when you're feeling good and you're all that, like everything seems so easy, but it's when you're in that confrontation and when you're in that resistance, that's really where like it's the biggest thing to be able to choose love and light, right? And we always talk about love, but unfortunately we've been conditioned with a lot of the time conditioned love, or we only give people love with certain conditions. I will love you if you do this for me, or if you do this, if you don't do that, no, bye. Right? It's like, it's so conditional, right? So really learning how to be unconditional with our love, which means loving people throughout the anger, throughout the frustration, throughout the confrontation, throughout the things that you don't necessarily fully believe in that maybe somebody else believes in. And I know I always say this, but this is like a belief that I fully like have adopted. And it's like, there's no right or wrong. There's only different, right? So whenever we feel that resistance within our body, whether it's in a conversation or we hear something or whatever, like whenever I feel it in my body now, I'm just like, okay, something has butted up against my belief system, right? It doesn't mean that I need to be offensive or defensive towards somebody or whoever said whatever. It just means that I have to acknowledge this within my body and actually like take some time to myself and think about, okay, what was it that triggered me? And maybe I do want to shift my belief system. Maybe I don't. Right. But it's just like really acknowledging what it actually means within us.
Yeah, and there's something to be said about honoring the differences with others, or honoring the different perspectives, and
Yeah.
also honoring where you're at too. I think there's space in that, and I think that's where we can really start to see how we define love and acceptance, because we may not agree with stuff. Right now there's a huge polarizing atmosphere of people who are choosing to be vaccinated and people who are not. There's always something in which there can be some type of massive polarization going on. And there's also a space for us to exist all together in a very communal, in a very harmonious way. I don't think that you have to have one without the other, that you can have both in this all experience.
Yeah.
And so that's really a challenge, because you really know where you're at when there's the conditions for which you base yourself in being love and light is not there. When the bullets are flying, metaphorically speaking, when the fires are going and there's a heat in the moment, where are you at with your ability to tap into that tool of being love or being in that expression? Because it's not easy to do that. And I really do feel that's where you get to really see where your level of spiritual fitness and conditioning is at.
I love that. Spiritual fitness and conditionning. So true. Yeah. And I'm curious, Anthony, what do you do when these bullets are flying? Like, what is it that you personally do in order to
it's great. I reflect on so many of the different personal deposits that I have for myself throughout the whole week. The times where I take time to like pour into myself, be reading, resting, going for a jog, working out, eating a nutritional meal, eating food that really adds vitality to me, spending time with my family, getting in the sauna. All those moments actually help fortify my body. It's like somatic nutrition. It's this somatic nutrition, and that to me has translated into my ability to stay in a more center space when there's a differences in beliefs. And understanding that, the contrast of things in life, that experience where one person goes or one group goes the other way and the other one goes this way, that creates a spark of change, that creates a spark for dialogue or space to be opened for conversation.
Yeah.
And that we can all have differences and still exist in the same space. And at the end of the day, we're all responsible for our own destiny. And when we see that and accept that, we can be in love with what is. We can trust and surrender to what is.
Yeah, I love that. And how you said like about taking all of that time for yourself, right? Where you're doing all of this self-care type stuff. Like it's so important with life being so busy and us having so many priorities. Like you have a child as well, a young child, an 8-month-old daughter, right? So you have so many things on the go. And it's like making sure that regardless what other things you have going on in your life, that you take that time for yourself, because heck, like we've all hit that place of burnout. And when our emotions are all like, whatever, like you can't see clearly, you can't make decisions clearly. That's usually when shit just hits the fan, right? Because we just don't have the capacity to be able to do it. So taking that step back prior to actually having that point of burnout to be able to reflect on everything. I love how you shared that. And also about like the different belief systems, right? And just like navigating different belief systems. And that's truly how we grow. There's this quote, I can't even think about what it is. I think it's like a meme on Instagram that I saw, and it was something about like, just basically like stop talking and listen and you're going to learn so much.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Sure.
Like sometimes we just want to talk and talk and talk and talk, some people. And it's just like, whoo, like if we just pause and take a second and we just don't want to be heard for a while and we want to just hear people out and listen to what they have to say. That's truly, I know that's why I love things like this, right? Because it's like, that's where you learn the most information, because we only know what we know based off of our experiences. And if we're going to stay so tunnel visioned on just our own path, we're missing out on such a big portion of life that can bring so much more growth and abundance and joy and happiness and all of these incredible things that just come along with this life journey when we actually seek out those growth opportunities.
For sure. Yeah. And it's staying open to the possibilities is the game.
Yeah.
Because there's many kind of scenarios and stories that we can attach ourselves to that can draw in the limitations of what we can, connect with. And it's not that we don't ever get to those things. It's just recognizing when you're in that space and then like, okay, is this serving me? Is this something I'm playing for in life right now? I had the choice to continue with it or just, take it off, just like, that's not for me right now.
Yeah.
And not judge it. Just say it's an experience. Who am I to say you're not to have this experience? Hey, that's your experience. And that in itself creates a lightness within yourself.
Yeah.
That creates that lightness. And the truth is that everybody's going to go through their experience. Everybody's going to go through whatever they're calling in. You don't even realize you're calling in that experience.
Everything. Yeah.
You're calling in that. And that truth is hard to sometimes understand that, yeah, I'm calling in all of this stress, all of this despair, all of this suffering. And I'm also calling all of this fun, loving, amazing, plentiful, prosperous life. Yes. Yeah. We're doing all of it.
Yeah. And maybe we can chat a little bit more about that, Anthony, because obviously when we're in all of those good things and the good feels, we're like, heck yeah, I deserve this. But then when we're in those not so good feels, we're like, oh man, what did I do? We get into the victim mentality. But in reality, you attracted it, right? Like it's all subconscious energetic frequencies that we're putting out, that we are attracting and repelling certain situations based off of what's going on in our inner world, and that translate in our external world. So maybe you could just touch a little bit more on that so that people can start to understand kind of with the situations that they're going in. Because I know people, especially lately, I've had a lot of conversations with people, they're going through a lot of crazy stuff right now, like it's just like things from one day to the next, things shifting massively, and not necessarily nice things, not nice lessons that people are having to take a look at, and nice experiences.
It's pretty complex. We are the sum of the people we hang around with, the collective. So whether it be a household, a neighborhood, or community, all of that has an impact on what we think, what we believe, how we behave, and ultimately what our life ends up being, 5, 10 years, 15, years down the line. And so in that whole process, a lot of times we subconsciously assimilate to whatever the energy of that bubble is. We start to subconsciously accept and believe certain things. And it's not until you're in a different environment that you sometimes realize, wow, I used to believe that because I was around that, or I used to think like I was around these kinds of like discussions, or I used to be around this certain kind of food, or I used to be around a certain kind of music. And so that plays out massively in your life. And so one thing I would always say is like, when you want to transform your life, or you want to understand how you can start to create a new result, think about one of the 3 things they say in real estate, as far as like, business. In real estate, they say location, location, location. And it's like environment, environment, environment. You want to think about like, what are the 3 core life centers of your life that might, from an environmental standpoint, that are probably impacting you every day: your work, your household, and your closest network of friends and family.
Yeah.
All that has a massive like impact on you. And it really, sometimes it's hard to see it too, because what you see is, oh, I love this person. This person is great. They're nice. They're kind. They do so many things for me. And nice doesn't mean always healthy for you. Nice doesn't always mean it's serving you or it's effective for what's the word I'm looking for? whatever result you're looking for.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't always, so it sometimes the emotionality gets more and it gets thicker to see through, and it's natural, we're human, and so that's why it's important to have check-ins, have accountability with all that,
Yeah.
so that you can have a little bit more of objectivity in that percentage of it all, because we all have a subjectivity about it within it, and it's just having a little bit more objectivity so that we can kind of like, let me just see it for what it really is, and not for what I'm choosing to say it is, and I might be in denial of that.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's where another thing with like being beyond like love and light and not just being so soft and sensitive with things is when we recognize that our friends, our family, our coworkers, our loved ones are acting like off from what they normally are, or they're emotionally not quite as happy, then to ask them what's up, right? And sometimes that conversation can be uncomfortable. If we're uncomfortable with our own emotions, it's going to be uncomfortable to talk about other people's emotions, right? Like I used to like hate talking about emotions, but it wasn't until I started really like taking a look at my own that like, and now I'm able to have these conversations. But that's where that resistance and that confrontation comes in, that sometimes it's not always going to be an enjoyable process choosing that unconditional love and choosing that light, because there's so many things from our past that are affecting us with opening up our mouth and self-expressing and communicating things. Like how many times have we been told that we don't have value to share with the world? Or even when we were young, if like our parents were busy working all the time and our little self wanted to share something and they were just busy doing whatever and stressed out, and they're like, no, I don't have time.
Right.
You know? That it just kind of like shuts that down. So it's not always going to be easy, but it's always going to be so worth it, because there's been so many times where I've had my friends like be able to call me out on things, and then that's how we elevate as a collective, as a community, is by allowing each other the space to be able to hold when the other people are going through things. But like you said, when we're in it, sometimes we don't recognize it because emotions are blinding. It's literally like if you put like a black dot on a piece of paper and then you're like that, you're only seeing the black dot. Right. It's not until you pull away that you are actually able to see the white and everything else around it. So that's where this community comes in, and being able to work through that uncomfortability to actually be able to have those conversations with people.
Yeah. And that's where I feel like where we have our greatest opportunities for healing is in the community. You know, when we all start talking about what's going on with us individually in a collective forum. You know, have the town hall meeting, the tribe meeting, the big family meeting, so we can get it out. We can talk about it. We can normalize talking about things that are uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And see, and that's the thing about love. Sometimes it's when you really love somebody, it can be hard to say something, because that's the idea behind tough love. You know, it's because you also love yourself enough to say, no, this is not serving me. This is not work. I feel depleted, and I need to honor me.
Yeah.
And the truth of that is the light. Well, that is love and light. Now, another spin on this whole love and light idea is that it's hard to see the light unless you have darkness.
Yeah.
That's the contrast. And also, people don't realize this, but for example, and I'm just like, I like to give like scientific examples of stuff. Like when you look at oil and spill it on the ground, you see, and like say the sun hits it, you can see there's a rainbow. There's like a meniscus in it. There's like this, so there's rainbow colors that come from that. And that's light. When you refract light, you actually get a rainbow. So there is light and darkness. It's just being able to see it. There's always light, even in the darkness. It's just, can you see it? But I'll tell you this. I've done several ayahuasca ceremonies, and in that, when you're in that space, when you're in that mothership, when you are on the trip, it's like you go inward and you go into a dark space, not in the sense of like it's doom and gloom. It's showing you what you haven't looked at. It's showing you what's been unprocessed, what hasn't been fully addressed, what's still waiting for you to shine light on. And you see some very vivid, vivid visions and things in a dark space. In that light, you see light within the darkness.
Yeah.
So I think that darkness has a connotation of being, dangerous, something to be scared of, frightening. And as if and that can be if you don't know how to see, or you're not guided in seeing the light in the darkness. Meaning that if you don't see the lesson in all of the mix, it could be frightening. It's like, why am I going through this? Why am I going through this? What's going on? I can't handle it. And the ego's like, no, we gotta go. We gotta eject. We gotta jump out of here. And Spirit's like, I gotcha. I'm gonna take you through. So it's just, it's an interesting conversation.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to bring that into perspective and to show some spin on that way of seeing it.
Yeah, because there is, it's like everything in life is polarity, right? There's good, there's bad, there's day, there's night, there's all of these things. It's like we wouldn't know one without the other, right? And without experiencing the extreme, say, like pain or extreme discomfort, we wouldn't know what extreme joy is, or even contentment or neutrality. Sure. Right? We wouldn't even know, like there would be no scale of what to actually look at. Sure. Right. Yeah. So that's huge. I was reading something the other day, and it was saying about how like healing, it's not about it's not about like seeing it as separate as dark and light. It's about seeing the darkness and then allowing the light to come through and break it apart, and so that it can become whole and can become one. Yeah. And I was like, it's so true, because that's all this like personal growth journey is seeing the parts of ourselves that maybe we're not satisfied with, or the qualities, the traits, or our behaviors or patterns that we aren't quite happy with, and seeing them for what they are, and like seeing them as a lesson and saying thank you so much. Like I always do this when I'm in that those days where I'm just kind of in my heavier emotions and I'm doubting myself and questioning things. I'm like, okay, like thank you for showing me this. Like and sit with it and feel it, because when we can actually see it and feel it and then understand what it's actually teaching us, then we can then move through it and find solutions for it, right? We don't have to sit in those crazy heavy like emotions that we don't like feeling, right? But there's also, I have a friend of mine who is sending me passages from A Course in Miracles. Okay. And he sent me one just the other day, and it was saying how our judgment of emotions is the only true judgment that we can ever have, because our emotions are always 100% true. And that's like how we gauge. And it's like, I always say it's like a internal guidance system, right? Like our emotional guidance system. It's like a GPS that's like, okay, when we're heavier emotions, it's like the learning time. It's the time where we're reflecting and seeing where the lessons are, where we can learn. And then as we push through them, then we start experiencing these other breakthroughs, which is what we call the light. And then as we go through those is when we actually get to push through and break through and make those strides forward. But then with every new level comes a new devil, they say, because it doesn't matter what we do. That's life. When you break through, then you're going to hit this next plateau where you're going to have to go into those darkness to see all those parts of yourself. And that's what growth is. That's what evolution is as a human. So I love that you pointed out just about seeing the darkness and the light and how it all works together. And when you can see it as truly that, like, it doesn't have to be so heavy. It doesn't have to be so whatever. And we don't have to be ashamed to talk about the parts of ourselves that we're doubting or this or that. Like as a society, we've came to this place where we wear these masks, and for some reason we feel like we have to show up 100% okay all the time. And I fall into it too. And lately I've just been like, I feel like that's been one of my big breakthrough areas lately, where I'm just like, I don't have to anymore. I can take off the masks and I can show up fully as myself. And it's enough,
Take off the mask.
Take off the masks.
Take off the mask. Yeah, that's so funny you say that, because like the mind creates that duality. That's what the ego does. It creates that duality, like that. This is me here. This is me there. You know, it's that coming home to this wholeness that we are in that process. When we travel in life on that journey, when we finally make it to Tibet or Nepal, and we get to the ashram, and we get to the temple, and then the master or the yogi tells us, "Hey, you've made it. Now go back home." You're like, "Well, I've came here. I've come so far to learn all these lessons, and to be at the feet of the masters." And they're like, "Well, if you're looking for that master, turn your searchlights inside."
Yeah, I love that.
I thought I was going to learn this grand celestial lesson. It's so interesting, because you see it in the movies where like the master is so simple. The master that we seek is telling you, like, you're seeking something that you already have within you.
Yeah.
And so that's why where the light is inside, it's in this our body. That's why it's called enlightenment.
Say that again.
Enlightenment.
Ah, yes. Wow.
Enlightenment, the light within yourself, the inner realization that the experiences that you are looking for there is where?
Always inside.
Yeah, because the word there has here in it. If you take the T, everything after that is here. Boom, right? So that's the thing, that enlightenment is already in you. That's why you're already perfect. You're already complete. You're never broken. You don't need to be fixed. There is nothing to fix. It's just to recognize what you already are. Because our whole life is about going out and seeing what we're not. We're told we're not this, we're not this, we're not this. And so when we do that, we start to travel away from the home. We start to travel away from the foundation. So it's just part of the human experience. And so that's why it's really great to have community as a way to bring you back to the center, to bring you back to the circle, because that's what community is. It's bringing us back to that circle. All right, that circle of unity. That's what yoga is. It's the unification. It's bringing you back to the center, to that balance, to that harmony that is already what we are all connected to. So that's why I think yoga is one of the most, to me, is one of the most powerful complements to any kind of personal development modality that you choose to take on, whether it be working out, whether it be, transformational work, public speaking, anything, being a teacher. Yoga, not just in the sense of the physical, like the asana, but, meditation, serving, chanting, all kinds of different, the 8 limbs of yoga. There's so many, and all those limbs just constitute the different varieties of life in which we express ourselves, the way in which we connect, the way in which we are intimately involved with this experience of life.
Yeah, I know yoga was one of the very first things that I kind of got into when I started like kind of going on this like spiritual growth, personal development journey, was tapping into yoga. I remember at that point, like I was like feeling like I wasn't doing it right because my mind could not like just stay still or like whatever. And I would just make sure that when I did it, I would go for like the fast flows so that it would keep me like stimulated, because I was still in the like whole like must do, like I can't just be. Yeah, seriously, still just caught up in that like pure subconscious mode, and not being a conscious creator of my life. But it's like a gateway. It's a gateway to be able to learn more about it, because like you said, it combines the movement, which energy in our body is movement, right? And all of it, our emotions are just energies in our body. So moving that emotion and having the meditation aspect of it and the chanting and the words that they speak, it's just so powerful, and it just brings you a whole new perspective on a way of being, and a whole new perspective of life based off of like the principles of yoga.
Yeah. Cool. This has been a great discussion.
It has
I love
been.
it.
I'm enjoying it.
I hope hopefully, I see some of the people. I can see some of the people on that popped in: Victoria, Birch, Spencer Stewart,
Yeah,
Dana
Dana.
Power. That's all I see on my end. I'm not sure if you see more. I'm looking at it on my phone. So
Yeah. Yeah, no, this has been great. If anybody has any questions, whether you're on here live with us or you're watching the replay, feel free to put them in the comments. We're going to be kind of just coming on randomly. We were thinking once a week. So we'll just let you know when we're going to be coming on here. But any questions when it comes to health, wellness, spirituality, what else?
yeah, just ways if there's something that you're trying to process specifically, around any type of area that you're experiencing a block, or you want to go from effective to effortless, or you just want to get to being just more optimized in something, let's have a discussion on it. Let's bring it to a collective. Let's bring it to a collective space so that we can all put our energy on it. When we all put our energy on it, it creates a higher level of intentional like manifestation. And so that's why it's great to work with a coach like Laura and Anthony, because it's the power of two minds versus just one mind. And sometimes it's three minds, sometimes it's four. So it's all that energy coming together. You know what? And before I go, I want to bring this point up. Yeah, sure. People just think that the reason why Silicon Valley, why it's such an epicenter of this emergence of technology, it's because it's a big, powerful, energetic orbit of people who have a lot of the same like intentional, mental, and intellectual energy, like focused on the same kinds of things. So you have all these companies in Silicon Valley in Northern California that are all like hyper focused on creation, technology, and innovation. And so when you have that kind of energy involved, the byproduct of what can come out of that is just the possibilities are just so much more magnified. So it's not a coincidence. So let's talk, let's congregate, let's be in communion, and let's continue to unlearn and learn.
And that's exactly what it is, right? So we are totally unlearning our conditioning and everything. Basically, a lot of the things that we've learned coming from that fear-based scarcity mindset opposed to this love and abundance mindset. So there's no right or wrong questions. And chances are, if you are watching this and you have a question or you're going through something yourself, there's at least one person else, if not many, many people that are also struggling with that same thing too. So by you either commenting your question on here or even reaching out to Anthony or I personally, then you could potentially not only get a little bit of help for what you're going through, but you could potentially be helping like quite a lot of other people that are struggling with that same thing, but they just don't quite know, have the confidence to put it out there, or maybe they just are a little bit shy too. So we're here for you guys for anything that you're going through. And yeah, we can't wait to see you guys on the next live, and we hope to see you on there. But thank you so much again, Anthony, for coming on here with me. I really appreciate you so much. Thank you for just sharing your.
Laura is such a blessing to be in the presence of. I mean,
thanks, Anthony.
Yeah. So, hey, we're here.
We're here. Yeah.
We're here.
Yeah.
Talk to you later.
Okay. Bye, everyone. Have a great evening. Bye, Anthony. See ya.